All right, we are live. We are live, y'all. What's up? I'm excited. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava podcast. My name is Will. You guys already know I am the host of this show. Man, I'm super excited today. It's a Sunday. I'm excited today. I have a very special guest. Very special guest. Actually, one of somebody I know personally from the Bay. But he's one of our tokos all the way from Utah, man. All the way from Utah.
Sir.
Yep. His family's all originally from Hatejo, so all the Hatejo fam out there, shout out to all of you. One love. And he's a proud member of the Kalapu Kavaholics. So you already know, our Tongan people, we love our Kava. So I'm very excited to have him on my show. Thank you so much for taking the time. Very grateful for this opportunity. And for everybody out here that's watching this for the first time, are you tuning in for the first time? I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Please show some love and support, and please like and subscribe to my channel. And for everybody out there that been showing me so much love and support and sending me positive messages, mad love to you guys. You actually inspire me to keep going and doing my thing. So much love to everybody out there. But I'm excited. I'm excited for my toko to be on here for the first time and hear his life story. But let's get back to him. And I want him to introduce himself real quick. So it's all you, toko.
All right, Mano. I'm Mason Samisi Fiefia, born and raised in Logan, Utah. My dad is from Hatejo, the Fiefia clan, the Wolf Gram. But my mom is from here in Utah. So, yeah, it's good to be here. Good to see you, Will. Been too long.
Man. Yep. So good to see you, my toko. And also, I forgot to add, he's one of the widest Tongans that I know so far.
Hafakasi life, man. It's tough.
The struggle is real.
It is.
All right, Toko, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. But I guess we'll get started. The very first question I want to ask you is, how did you grow up?
Growing up in Utah is a very interesting dynamic, especially in a biracial family.
Yeah.
But growing up, I had a really, really great childhood. I grew up here, growing up on a farm. So as a little kid, we grew up feeding cows and pigs and chickens, and running around and getting in trouble. And Logan, it's a small town, but it's not a small town.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, we had one Walmart, and now we have two, and a Sam's Club. So we're getting there.
Okay.
Utah State's a favorite. My dad played college ball in Utah State, and my mom is a paramedic firefighter. And so we grew up doing a lot of outdoor stuff, but we also grew up doing a lot of work. My dad currently is a business owner. We own Fiefia lawn care, so we do yate.
Yep.
And in the winter, we push snow. So a lot of manual labor around here.
Yeah, shout out to your dad, entrepreneurial. I think we need to show a lot of spotlight to that, which often don't get talked about. Much love to it, man.
But yeah, I grew up here in Logan, never moved around really much. Went to high school. During my teenage years, I played football and I wrestled. I played lacrosse. I was very athletic. But as well as I was very involved in outdoor stuff. So I went camping a lot. I did a lot of hunting. I did a lot of four-wheeling and anything that you think about outdoors, I've done it and I did it. In high school, I was involved in, besides sports, I did drama for a year.
Okay.
And I loved it. It was so fun. As well as I DJ. I DJed in high school. And I was a member of the FFA. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the Future Farmers of America Association.
Okay.
And it was funny because one time we went on a trip to California, to Huntington Beach, for a big agriculture convention.
Yeah.
So I'm on this bus with all these kids. They got big dinner plate belt buckles and cowboy hats and boots. And I'm on there in shorts and flip-flops. So they took me in and they loved me. And I loved that organization. It was really amazing to see the struggles that farmers go through, and the comparisons with American farmer and the Tongan farmers and Polynesians were different but the same
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
You ever hear about I don't know I don't know, I saw this on TV the other day, but you ever heard of like I guess farmersmeetup.com or something like that?
Farmers only?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I can't remember, but it was like a dating website for farmers. I don't know if you knew. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you know about that. But
Yeah. Here we call that swing dancing. So
I found that pretty funny when I saw that they had like a commercial about like a farmer. No, it was a girl. Then she saw some guy in a suit, and then she didn't like him, and then she saw some guy in a cowboy hat.
Straw hat.
It's still love. It's still love.
we need a fobsonly.com.
Oh man, that's gonna be fun to go see.
For all the coconut chasers, you need a fobs only. The Nifo Cola and the broken English.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyways, and then after high school, I served a mission in the Bay. Is where I met you.
Yep.
I was Spanish speaking, and then my last little while, I did a little bit of Tongan as well, and so I was the unofficial Tongan elder. So I was always at all the fafangas and everything, but I wasn't in the program. But when you're Tongan, they take you in. So
yep.
And then after my mission, where I'm now, I'm currently in full-time welding school. So be a welder and just living my life. It's been great.
Nice. I guess I want to ask about like your childhood. Like what's I know there's a lot of things you mentioned, but I'm just interested because I feel like who we become today always starts with our experience growing up as a child. Because I always feel like it's good to talk about those things and whatever we can do to improve our childhood, but not only for us, but for the next generation. So can you mentioned that you were hafakasi. Can you talk about that experience? Because if you're poly, you watch it, you already know. If hafakasi is out there, there's a different type of lifestyle and struggles you guys go through that's separate from the full-blooded Polynesians, and that's a lot of my guests on my podcast are hafakasi too, so they've talked about it as well. So yeah, can you talk about that? Your experience growing up as a hafakasi, because I know sometimes that can be challenging. Our Polynesian community can be very selective of who they allow in. So yeah, can you talk about that? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, growing up hafakasi was hard, especially during my preteen years and into my teenage years, because such a big part of our identity and who we are is our culture. Yeah. And when we don't fully understand our culture, it creates this internal struggle. So my mom is Palangi, and then my dad is the Tongan. And usually what I've kind of noticed is when your mother is the Tongan or the Polynesian, you tend to grow up with more Polynesian cultural practices in the home.
Yeah.
Even, dads too, but it's more prevalent with mothers.
Yeah.
So me growing up, my dad, I love my dad, all my respect to him, but he's kind of Palangi, kind of Fiefia Palangi. He didn't teach us the language. He doesn't like to dance. He can't sing very well. And so I grew up for a large portion of my life without that identity of my culture and what it meant to be Tongan. And I would often go hang out with my Tongan cousins, and I didn't fully grasp the concept of whakakata, where it's harsh love and it's teasing, but that's how they show love. So I'd always come home crying and feeling bad because I didn't understand it. So I kind of grew up hanging out with my Palangi cousins a lot more than I did my Tongan ones. But as I got older, I had more opportunities to learn about the Tongan way, and I was involved in some luau's, and I started doing a lot of research on my own online and watching videos and really listening to my grandparents speak and talk about the old ways, the old traditions. And that's how I began my journey into learning about what it means to be a Tongan American.
Okay. Okay. So, was it when you finally tried to enter into the Tongan community, like, did you receive any kind of like? Because I know sometimes as Tongans, when it comes to like hafakasis, and when they try to join or be part of that group, they can kind of push back a little bit, or make you feel like you're not part of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it happen a lot.
Yeah.
So was that what? Did you ever face that? Did you ever experience that?
Yeah, I did. There was a lot of times where like, oh, you're just a wannabe Tongan. You're not a full-blooded Tongan. Kind of like Harry Potter, the mudblood. I was the mudblood of the group. I didn't speak Tongan. I didn't eat a lot of Tongan food in my day, and so I was the mudblood of the cousins. But as I learned more and as I developed myself and my knowledge, now that there's cousins that I know more about the Tongan culture, being hafakasi, than they do being full-blooded.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a pride thing, but I'm very proud of the work that I've put in learning my culture. And I learn every single day. I learn something new every single day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like, I think you said it best, like, our self-identity has a big impact to our mental health and to our feeling happy, being confident, because if you don't know who you are and confident of who you are, then it's really, really hard to go out there in the world and go into real life, especially all the stuff that we face in real life. Like, I think confidence just comes from being confident of who you are. And if you have a hard time of figuring out who you are, you question yourself, then it's going to be really hard when you go out there, and then especially for all the things we have to face in life when it comes to making friends, relationships, and all the things that we experience. So that's why I'm glad we were talking about this, because I just want like Polynesians to just accept and welcome all types of Polynesians, and don't see them because, if you see another, like for me, like if you see another Polynesian brother, just accept them as another Polynesian brother or sister, and just show love to them and embrace them, because at the end of the day, we're all Polynesians at the end of the day. Yeah. And also just put some empathy, like, and just, at the end of the day, like, sometimes like I hear people blame, oh, she don't know this is how to speak the language. I'm like, it's not their fault if their parents don't teach them this culture, So like, I mean, that's just how I see it. And then, it saddens me sometimes as the way we treat each other, because we're all family at the end of the day. We're all related somehow.
Yeah.
One thing I always go ahead.
I was gonna say it's the, like in Maori, the whanau, the kainga, the ainga. We're all connected. We're all oceanic members of the society, and so we need to take each other in, and like we would from village to village.
Yeah, and also like two things that I see. It's funny that we kind of make fun of polys that like I said, they consider whitewash, right?
Yeah.
Hafakasi. But then we also make fun of polys that come from Tongan. There's 100% pobs.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, what is it? I don't know, but what's poly? You make fun of the pobs, that 100% straight poly. Then you make fun of the hafakasis that grew up in America. Then I'm like, then what's I don't know, what's the standard? Like how
where's the safe zone? I'm trying to get to the safe zone.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like it's never enough. I guess that's the thing. It's never enough for anybody. It's never enough. Either you're too poly or you're not enough poly.
You're not enough.
And also, and the reason, and for me, I'm always all about uplifting people and uplifting our culture. I always want to see our culture get uplifted, and that's why I always tell people, like, we should always, hafakasis, and especially for polys in different countries have better opportunities. We should always embrace them and encourage them to learn about their culture, because you never know, like, anybody can make it can put themselves in a higher platform and be successful. So that way, when they become successful, they can claim our culture, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You don't want to ostracize, you don't want to keep, cast them out or ostracize them, and then they become the next Dwayne Johnson, and then they never, they never when they talk about, what are you? Oh, I'm just American. Because as a child, they were made. Nobody wanted to embrace them in their culture. I just want to make sure we should always welcome all kids. So, because I always want to put Tongan on the map. I have pride for Tongan. I always want to put Tongan on the map.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There, bro. He's up always.
Yeah, but I've seen it before where sometimes we kind of make fun of these Tongans, and then they finally make it big, and then they never claimed Tongans. They're Tongan. They're just I'm American. But it's just because that's how they grew up as a child. Nobody accepted them, so they just claim they're Americans or whatever side that you grew up in.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So for you, when you learned this, I guess when you learned about your culture, that's when you found out identity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, on my mission, I was able to hang out with a lot more Tongans because up in Logan, there's not a ton of polys up here.
Yeah.
I went to high school with the Damuni family. So shout out to the Damunis,
Yep.
Fiefia, and the Bownies. But in my high school, there was a total of 3 Polynesians. There was me, my sister, and the Damuni family, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so on my mission, I had the opportunity to connect with other Polynesians and to observe how Polynesians act and the many different mannerisms. And then when I got to the peninsula and I was able to be in the Tongan wards and be among family, that is when I started to really identify and recognize what it meant to be Tongan. And then after my mission, I was able to go back to Tonga for a month and go visit Hateho and really see the lifestyle. And I just remember when we touched down in Felmotu, I just felt it. I was like, I'm home. This feels right.
Yeah.
That's when my identity really, really came out and says, wow, I know what it means to be Tongan now. I understand.
Yeah. How was the experience in Tonga? What was talk about that?
So amazing. I didn't want to leave. I was like, just leave me here. I can stay a little while longer. No, it was great. So my aunt lives currently over there at our family house. And so she took us around and we mostly just stayed on Tongatapu. We didn't go to Fafa'u or Hapai. But just driving around and eating the fresh ota and the ika and all the food was just if there's no food, Tongans won't be there. That's just the rule.
Exactly. What was something culturally that you saw that was that you saw in Tonga that you didn't really learn experience here in the States, but it was more profound or obvious in Tonga?
I just think the way that everyone greets each other.
Yeah.
In Tonga, we all greet each other as family. It doesn't matter if we're related or not. Mm-hmm. You still always give the on the cheek and you give the hug, and that is something that you don't see here at all.
Yeah.
It's a handshake or it's a nod. But over there's a lot of a lot of expression of gratitude. People are very thankful in Tonga.
Yeah. Did you change? Did you? Because when I was talking to a lot of the American kids that grew up here and then they went to Tonga, they always talk about some kind of enlightenment, humbles them, appreciate things more, be more grateful. Did you ever experience some kind of feelings like that when you went to Tonga?
Yeah, I was grateful for mosquito nets. And, I'm grateful for AC.
Did you ever use the whakanamu? It's like the coil that you burn.
Yeah.
To avoid mosquitoes.
Use that. Yeah, no. All jokes aside, though, yeah, I was very humbled to see the difference in lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Right, you would see really nice houses with sima and nice roofs to little shacks out in the bush. Mm-hmm. And it really made you realize how grateful you are and how blessed we are to live here in America and the things we get here.
Okay. I'm sure you probably got a lot of attention from the Tahinas over there, huh? Because you're from America, bro. If you're from America,
man. They were the numbers. They're trying to get us. So we were there when Mate Tongan won the big rugby league.
Yeah.
And so we're on the main road.
Yeah.
And the security guard comes up to my older brother.
Yeah.
My older brother's really tall. He's got long hair, and they asked if they could take a picture with him because they thought he looked like Jason Momoa.
Oh.
And so I was teasing. I was like, "Oh, hey, look, it's Jason Mangu Mangu."
I'm done. That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, I know that's always I always like joke around with my my cousins that grew up here, and they'll go back. I was like, hey, man, hey man, just prepare yourself, man. You're gonna, I know in here you have no game, but over there,
it's a different kind of game.
Over there, you have a chance, man. Your rating just goes up. Automatic. Oh man. Everybody watching, you guys know the island life, man. The island life. So I want to ask you because I think this is something I always talk about because for me, I'm a big advocate for growth. Personal growth, being the best version of yourself, elevating your life to be to achieve whatever goal, dream, whatever makes you happy. So I'm all about that. And I know sometimes that can be really, really hard. Really hard as a Polynesian community or a person to do that because we are layered with all the traditions and values and things that we learn within the culture. So you got a chance to experience both worlds. Experience not only inside the culture but also experience outside the culture. And I give you a little perfect example. Like for me, I grew up in Tongan. I grew up in Tongan, then I moved here to America. So I grew up within the culture, I know the language, I know everything. But then when I moved here to America, I ended up bouncing around different states, but I ended up going to school in a lot of Palangi towns. So the high school I went to in Texas, which is all like 99% like white. So I grew up with a lot of white people, and for me, it was cool because I learned a different perspective. I learned a different mindset. I learned about, I know sometimes in American society, we may call Palangis too privileged sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic. But I saw that how the mindset to pursue something, to achieve something, to go for something, not be afraid to speak up, not be afraid to voice my own opinions. I mean, I just saw my friends like that. That's how their personality was. All Americans that grew up here, if they want to say something, they say it, which can be very conflicting for me because I grew up in a Tongan way. You can't speak up. So I guess what I'm saying is because I learned, I feel like the person I am today is because I learned a lot of the things I learned in the culture. I was able to see a different side, and what I was able to do is I took what I learned from Tongan culture, I took what I learned from the American culture, and kind of just took what was good for me and combined my own personality and who I am, and I guess it would say reinvented myself of who I was. So, and that allowed me to grow, and I know for a fact that experience had a different impact of who I am today. So that's how I'm always interested in you. I want to ask you, because you saw the both worlds. What are the things that you feel like, I guess, the benefit of growing up outside the culture, that helped you grow to be who you are today? But then you don't see that within the Tongan culture. But at the same time, what are the great things about what are the things you learned from the Tongan culture that helped you grow to who you are today to be better? But at the same time, you don't see that within your Palangi culture. And we just talked about before in the islands. I guess one of the things I love about our Tongan culture is our loving mentality, our family, our love and support and appreciation we have for our family. So that's a great thing about that level within the Tongan culture. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want, because I know a lot of hafakasis are watching this and a lot of Tongans go this, but I also know sometimes that every culture can also, the way we are taught, the way we see things, that can sometimes kind of hinder an individual from actually taking that next step to being the best. So I'm just interested to hear, because you see both sides on both cultures, and if you don't mind sharing that, what you saw, what's a great thing about being outside the culture that helped you, but what's also the great thing about the Tongan culture helped you, but also the things that you felt like that you learned from both sides.
Yeah. So I think growing up outside the culture, there's a lot of traits and things that Americans have. One, you talked about speaking your mind and having that freedom and ability to do so.
Yeah.
Is something that was great. Growing up, my mom, she never limited me in what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
She always gave me every opportunity to do what I wanted, to grow and to speak my mind and how I felt. She's a great communicator, and she taught the skill of communication is one of the most vital things to have in life. Because without communication, nothing really gets resolved, and you do not voice how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I really took that to heart and really adopted that into my being, who I am as a person. Trying to think what else. There's so much. It's such a big, broad question.
I know.
I think
you can just
one thing
pick
that
the things that stands out the most to you.
Yeah, and I think from the Tongan side, right, is whakapapa is the respect.
Mm-hmm.
How much we respect women and we respect others, and it's a core value of us, and it's ingrained in. And I would hope every Tongan individual is respect and love and kindness. One thing that Tongans struggle with, and I still struggle with, is being on time. like the Polynesian Standard Time.
Yeah. Yep.
My Palangi friends hate it because I'm always late to everything, and that's one thing I'm currently working on this year. Is my New Year's resolution is to be early on to things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big thing too.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of other stuff, but those are kind of things that stuck out to me.
I know that poly time, man. It's should try to organize a poly event. That's so difficult. That's one of the hard.
You tell them 4:00 and they'll show up on time at 7.
You have to tell them the fake time. You show them 3 hours before the scheduled date, and then everybody will be. They'll still be late, but they'll be like.
They'll be 5 minutes late instead of 2 or 3 hours late.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I guess I want to touch on I guess speaking your mind and communication, because I feel like that is something that I see a lot, that a lot of Polynesians, especially within our generation, in the younger generation, that we struggle with, and of course, if you're Polynesian, you already know the culture already. We all know the respect, making sure that we respect our elders. I think you mentioned it before. How Polynesians take that verse on the Bible, honor thy mom and thy father. They take that literally to heart. Like this, yep. It's black and white. There's no gray area. Even though as much as I love that, I love my parents, and as much as I believe in respecting your parents, but at the end of the day, I do also believe in speaking your mind and communicating in a healthy way, because I do believe that, if you want to, God blesses all of us and we're all different. We're not the same. Your mindset is always going to be different from your dad's, from your mom, from your sisters. So we're all unique and have our own individual personalities. We have our own individual feelings of how we feel, how we interpret things, how we see things. And that's the blessing that God gives us through agency. We have the ability to choose of what we want for our lives and to grow. So, but that can be something that's really, really hard to navigate within the Polynesian culture, because if you speak up, you get the the diet.
Yep.
you get they consider that like talahui, like that's
Yeah.
disrespectful. And I know I talked a lot about that in a lot of my podcasts, because in poly like they don't, there is something called healthy communication where you can still communicate how you. I understand like if you're being disrespectful, just talking back to your parents in a disrespectful way.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm not promoting that. Like so I don't. Everybody out there is watching. I don't want you guys to start talking back to your parents. Yeah, Will and Mason said that.
But they said it was okay.
Hey, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is communicate in a healthy way. Like you can like I truly believe that too. Like you can still communicate in a healthy way and a respectful way, and still be able to come up, find some common ground and communicate each other. Because I feel like that's where a lot of the problems I see within our generation, where poly suffer mental health, anxiety, pressure, depression, all these stuff they talk about, and they can't be able to voice that or communicate that to their parents, because their parents have a different mindset of what they see of what they think about those certain issues. So that's the battle a lot of our young kids today, even our generation, face. Because as much as I love my culture and prideful of and grateful of how I grew up, but I'm also a big believer and advocate for like personal happiness. That if you are in a situation that's hurting you, if in a situation that's causing you pain, that's making you depressed, then I feel like it's absolutely necessary to put you first and do what's best for you, even if that has to supersede culture, traditions, and family. And that's just my opinion. So I want to ask you, can you talk about more about communication, how that is really important in your life, or maybe can you talk about some experiences where you struggle with, but then you had to open up and communicate that with other people, and your journey, and also like if you know any experiences of people or polys that struggle with that, because I really feel like that we need to talk a lot about more about the importance of healthy communication, and allowing kids to be themselves. Like we just talked about self-identity, allowing kids to be themselves, be who they are, so they can grow. Because like I always feel like that if you don't feel like you can open yourself up and communicate and feel heard, that stunts you, it prevents you from growth. So can you talk about that if you don't mind?
Yeah. One of my greatest heroes is my dad, and my grandparents wanted my dad to marry a tahine Tongan.
Oh,
And
got
they
you.
wanted him to keep the culture going. And when he told them that he was going to marry my mom, right, they fought back and they were very angry with him. Like, you're breaking tradition. This is not okay. Because my dad's the oldest of 9 siblings.
Got you.
So the younger siblings were going to follow the oldest brother.
Yeah.
And my dad sat them down and told them, you guys made your choice. Let me make mine.
Yeah.
And that is one example. And after they did, it took some time for them to adjust to my mom. But once we came around, they were a lot more loving and accepting. I think that in my own life, growing up, communication, especially with my own feelings, was hard. I'm a very giving and loving person. I give. That's my love language. But I never wanted to pick a fight. I didn't like confrontation, even when at the expense of it affecting me. And as I got older and understood that it's okay to put yourself first, and it's okay to be selfish in the best way possible if it's affecting you. As I've been able to communicate more my feelings with people, whether it's dating or I'm in a conflict with one of my friends or they did something I didn't appreciate, working through it has been so much more beneficial than bottling it up and just dealing with it on my own. That all ties in with mental health too. Whether we go to therapy or we talk about it, or we find some outlet to release that tension inside of us. so that we don't explode and we don't project this negative feelings. It may not be the person, but something we're still processing. As we go to therapy, as we communicate what we're feeling, we're able to release it and no longer feel like it's just us. It's just in our head. Right? We work through issues and fights a lot more healthier than physical, where we have outbursts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, do you see, basically, like, in your experience with like other polys within our generation or younger, do you see a lot of polys struggle with like trying to speak up to their parents or trying to voice their opinion?
I do. I have a few family members that are like that. They want to do something, but they don't want to disrespect. They don't want to offend their parents in some way or another, and it's a struggle for them. It's really hard that they can't say what they want to say out of fear of following culture and following protocol, and it affects them pretty badly.
Yeah, and I like something something that you said that I feel like that it applies to within how we're raised as polys. Like, I know you talked about saying you give. That's your love language. So I'm like, I'm the same way. I'm a giver, not a fighter. But don't make a mistake. I can fight for what I want to give.
Exactly.
Yeah. So because I realized that, and I remember at one of my podcasts before they talked about that the love language within the Polynesian culture, that how we express love, like their way of I guess defining love is how much you're willing to sacrifice. So the more you're willing to sacrifice, that's how they define, okay, you're a loving person. So if you're willing to give everything you have, if you're willing to do everything you're asked of, if you're willing to put other people first before you, then that's what love is in the Polynesian culture. And if you don't, and in the moment you start doing things for yourself and you don't put the family first before your own well-being and happiness, then automatically you're like, oh, you don't love us, or you're not a loving daughter or son. So can you expand on that also, on that, and talk a lot more? When did you realize that your nature to give, you had to start learning how to, put boundaries within that? Because sometimes as polys, like it's hard to figure that out until we're in a position where like everything is just falling apart and we have nothing left to give. And then we realize, and I don't want polys to like get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want you to get to that point where you're giving everything. And I've seen that happen. But if you're giving yourself, like you said, emotionally to the relationship, or you're giving some financially to support your family, whether you're giving your time, your energy, like you're giving, but then you give so much, but then when you fall apart and then you hit rock bottom and then you look for the people that you always give to be there for you, then nobody's there. And that's why I believe that's why it's important to take care of you, because when you go through life, the only person that's going to take you and get out of bed is going to be you. You have to look yourself in the mirror. You have to pump yourself up. You have to love yourself first. So, but you can talk about that, your experience of always giving. And then if you want to share a specific experience that you noticed that you were giving too much and people weren't giving back, weren't reciprocating, and it became toxic to you. And then you had to, I guess, learn about putting yourself first. And then also when you started doing that, can you talk about like, what was everybody's reaction when you started loving yourself first, and how did they respond to that?
Yeah, it's really funny because I learned the most about that with dating. In high school, I was always considered the nice guy. I was always willing to do whatever. If you needed my shirt, I'd give it to you. If you needed a ride, I'd give you a ride. Mm-hmm. I was always putting everything on the line for people, and I was always expecting people to do the same, but it never came. And after I came home from my mission and I started dating again, I started noticing some of these more toxic traits that I was continuing to have in the dating cycle. And I realized that I'm giving so much that there's nothing left for me. And I had to step back, and I took a lot of time. I started investing in myself. I started reading a lot more books, self-help books. I got into the gym, into the fitness life. I started cutting out toxic things in my life that were dragging me down and taking more from me than were reciprocating and giving back. A lot of people kind of looked at me like he's selfish now. He only cares about himself. And that was really hard to hear at first. But after I fully understood what I have to offer to people in my friendship and my loyalty and relationships, it no longer bothered me, because I knew what my self-worth was. It didn't matter what everyone else said. I've gained a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends because of it, but I'm grateful because I've gained higher quality friends now than I did before. There's a phrase where it says 4 quarters is worth more than 100 pennies. Right? The quality of a person will always outweigh the amount of people you have in your life.
Yeah.
And
I know, man. The dating culture today could be tough, man. The dating culture today is really, really tough, especially the type of values that people are looking for in the individuals is more superficial now.
Yeah.
So like, I think I made a video a long time ago about that, but like, if you're a good person, it's really, really hard to go out there and find quality people.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, but I think you said something that's really, really important. A lot of people need to hear. Like, if you notice that he found new quality friends, but he didn't find them by looking and searching or chasing them. He found them by investing into himself, and he attracted those people into his life. Because I feel like that's a lesson that a lot of people either don't learn or you just learn later in life. But if you want to find the right people, the right quality of people, you'll find your tribe, I guess. Then you just focus on bettering yourself, and then naturally, like they will just come to you. But if you try to always seek them, then it's like you're always going to end up burning yourself out. Because if this is the one thing I always tell people, my younger nieces, like, if somebody doesn't want to be in your life, if somebody wants to be in your life, they'll make an effort to be in your life. You don't want to be in your life, you don't have to chase people. Their decision, how they treat you, will show you everything that you know about their intentions for you. So if they want to be in your life, they will make an effort to be in your life. You don't even have to try, because you guys just attract each other. But if you have to try to, like, you can't force somebody to be in your life. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If they don't want to be there.
Exactly.
Is that do you have any thoughts about that concept? Because I feel like people need to hear that message for all the little parties out there.
Yeah, 100%. It's exactly what you said. You will attract what you are. Perception is reality. What we perceive in our minds becomes the reality. So if we tell ourselves that we're ugly and that we're worthless and that we'll never amount to nothing, that our parents hate us, that we'll never find someone, we'll never get married, then we are creating our own reality. We are shaping that to be a negative, sad place. Where on the other hand, if we create a positive reinforcement within ourselves and we shape our characters to emulate the people that we wish to be, others will see that and they will feel our energy and our vibe, and they'll be attracted to that. When you're around confident people, you feel confident.
Yeah.
When you're around people that are smart and are financially stable, you learn from that and you become as they are. So that's another topic too, depending who you surround yourself with. But it really starts as working on yourself. The greatest investment one can make is in themselves.
Facts, man. That's I feel like you should be a motivational speaker one day, man.
I've thought about
Well, yeah, you're speaking some fire right there. Yeah. So, and also like, I hear this a lot within our culture. When they say, nice guys finish last, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I always want to tell people, look, like, don't change who you are. If you're a nice person, if you're a good person, if you're a loyal person, don't. I'm telling you, just stick to that. Be that person, even though you may not attract the person that you want, attract the person that you feel like that you have eyes for. I'm telling you, the right person will cherish those qualities. And one thing I always see, because I know that there's a lot of good girls out there, but girls nowadays are can be tough, dirty, scandalous. Oh my god,
Oh no, man.
can be toxic. So all I'm saying is, all these girls that are not giving you no time, not appreciating you, or ghosting you, or denying you, I am telling
Yeah.
you, at the end of the day, what they always go back to finding that nice guy. They always go back. But
I I think the term "nice guys finish last" is a negative connotation, but
yeah,
in reality, it's the best because they're gonna go through heartbreak and they're gonna date jerks and people that
yeah,
they don't cherish. But in the end, the nice guy wins last, not finishes. He wins last.
yes. There we go. We need to change that sentence. Yeah, but I was because I have little cousins that come up to me and family like, hey man, like I like this girl, but she's not showing me time, and I feel like I'm too
Yeah,
nice. I'm like, dude, I'm like, bro, like I'm telling you, you still have number one. You still have. I'm telling, there's a lot of fish in the sea. Number one, to put it out there, like.
that's right. You need a fun
Yeah.
moto.
You gotta. I'm telling you, man. You gotta go out there. You gotta
Okay,
go out there.
Cotonou. Fang moto lele,
I'm telling you, there's a lot of women out there that will love you, appreciate you. I'm
Yep.
telling you, just like you say, we can't be trapped in our own reality.
No.
Sometimes we are stuck and we feel like we're in a pond, a small fish in a small pond. But the
Yep.
reality is the world is a vast ocean out there. I'm telling you, a lot of girls out there that want you. And if you don't believe me, go back to the islands. And I promise you.
If you need a confidence boost, go to the islands.
And I promise you, somebody will come to you. There will be a girl out there that will come to you. So, but yeah, I just wanted to shout that out to all the guys out there, man. And for me, like the concept I always hear, like girls are complaining about somebody is too nice. I'm like, be like treating you too nice. That never. But then I realized a lot of these girls are broken. So that's another topic. A lot of these girls are broken, don't know what love is, to be mistreated. So that's what they think love is. But then they later learn in life when they're 40 and then they haven't been married yet. But you're married, you have a beautiful wife, and you have kids, and these haven't moved on. So shout out to all the nice guys out there, man. Nice guys always wins. I guess
nice guys always win.
Yeah, that's original Mason Fiefia quote. Original quote. Yeah, I want to ask you real quick. I do want to talk about. I know you did mention about your dad being a football player. All right, so of course you talked about growing up in athletics, being in sports. Can you talk about that experience? And did you ever struggle? Because I'll talk about my own experience. When I grew up, I played sports. I played football. In college, I got scholarship, played D1 football, went out there, did my thing. But I remember growing up as a kid, I thought that football was the only way, my only path in life, where I thought that was the only way I could be successful. That was my potential. That's as far as I can go. And I remember I used to live, eat, train football. That's what I did for the first 21 years of my life. But then when that didn't work out and my NFL dreams was shattered, that broke me. I'm not gonna lie, it broke me. It put me in a very deep depression I went through for a couple months after college, when I realized that, oh my God, I can't play football no more. Now what? Like, oh my God, like it's over. My life is over, because I associated my value and worth in this world to sports, and that's all I could do. But then, of course, I realize now I grew out of it. But as Polynesians, we have so much potential. We have so much very intelligent. We have so many things we can do if we put our minds to. But I know like at times that, especially for the men and women too, But
Yeah.
For the men, like we automatically just and that's what I think. That's one thing we talk about culture in the beginning. We need to break that. That's why I'm a big advocate for growth, because I want more poly to grow and be successful outside of the sports, so that way kids can see, Tongan doctors, Tongan motivational speakers, Tongan singers, Tongan, whatever entrepreneurs like your dad. I want more of that to see, so we can break out the mentality, because I know what that feels like, man. Like being inspired and being. I still think about it sometimes here and there. I just think about
Of course.
I still think about it even to this day. But I learned to just not focus and move on. But it still affects me sometimes. But yeah, I want to ask your experience of being an athlete growing up. And did you ever go through that where like you just had to make it in sports? Your dad played sport. He made it Utah State. Did you have to go to the college and be in Utah State? Then, and when you realized that didn't work out, I'm just interested to hear your perspective and your journey with that.
Yeah. So much like my dad, and I remember my dad playing in arena ball and semi-pro after college. And I always told myself, I want to be like my dad.
Yeah.
I want to play college ball. I want to play Utah State. And so we started football at a young age. I started playing tackle football in kindergarten. And same as you, I ate, slept, and breathed football.
Mm-hmm.
When summer rolled around, we were on the field, and I was doing drills. I was practicing, and that was one of my biggest dreams, was to go play at Utah State. And I got offered a scholarship to go play at Snow College,
mm-hmm.
the JUCO here in Utah. And then a few months before I was supposed to come home, they changed the coaching staff. And they put me on a drop list. And so my dream was kind of taken away from me. They offered me to come walk on, but I remember thinking about it and the many injuries that I have. I have a really bad knee and bad shoulders. And I thought about, is this going to get me where I want to be eventually? And there comes a moment in every athlete's life where you either have to hang up the cleats, right? You got to hang up your jersey, or you take the risk and you run for it. And ultimately, I just decided, you know what, there's more to my life experiences than football. And so I decided to hang up the cleats. And there are times where I look back and I missed it. I missed playing ball. But after talking to my dad about it, college ball is not the same as high school.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Little League. It's a very cutthroat, very competitive place. And there's nothing wrong. I'm a very competitive person myself, but I just felt like there's more for me to experience in life than playing college ball. And it all worked out. I'm at welding school, and I'm projected to be a great welder and a business owner and entrepreneur. And so I always look back at the memories and the lessons I learned from playing football, and the many, many friends that I've made. And I cherish that very, very deeply. But I know that there's more to life. The cool thing that I learned is tradition in culture societies, right? Ethnic societies. Tradition is what's carried on. Culture changes through time. Right? Traditions are what we carry on. The culture is what changes. And I think that in the Polynesian community, we look at these studs, Troy Polamalu and his brother. We look at, that's the only way for us to succeed. It's through football, it's through rugby. When there are so many other opportunities for us, whether that's blue collar, like my route, or it's becoming an actor, or it's musicians, right? Us Polynesians are so talented in so many things. And we really have to change that mindset so that the youth growing up can say, I can be whatever I want to be, right? Athletics is not the only way out.
Yeah, man. Exactly. Um, if you're listening out here and you have inspirations to be a professional athlete, hey, do
Do it.
you
Chase it.
work hard, go as far as you can go, go as far as you can go. What you want to in your life. Um, but like I said, it's okay also if you want
Yeah.
to go a different path and hang up the cleats. Hang up the cleats does not mean you give up, and does not mean you're a quitter. And I know sometimes you can feel that way because as athletes, so we're competitive. There is no such
Yeah.
thing as stopping. There is no such thing as pausing. We keep going, and that's one of the hardest things as a Polynesian kid, because you grow up your whole life thinking that way. That, oh my God, if I'm hang on my cleats,
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm giving up on my. No, you're not giving up. It's just, I think I just believe there's God has a plan for all of us, and everything happens for a reason. Like I'm telling you, if you were meant to be a professional athlete, it will work out. I promise you this. It will work out. If you put in, of course, if you put it, you have to work hard. You can't be be a lady, a lazy ass at home and expect these things to work out, magically. No, if you put in the work and time and you really dedicate it to your craft, I'm telling you, if that's your purpose and it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But just let you know if it doesn't happen, because like I said, I'm living my dream now of trying to be a speaker and trying to start my podcast and trying to work my be a social media influencer. So I wouldn't be where I am today now if that didn't happen. If my NFL dream wouldn't work out, and all the people I've connected with now in my life, all the new friends, all the new groups I've met, things I've learned, my mentors, I would never have met those people if my NFL dream didn't work out. So as much as even though I love it, but I don't regret that moment. That I don't regret it at all at this point where it didn't work out, because I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't have met the people I am and be doing what I'm doing. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I think that was a great thing you shared. That it's okay, man. It's like, if you got it, hey, go ahead, do your thing, and if you make it, just send me an invite to your, I want to send you an invite right.
Send me a ticket, go watch you play.
Come on my podcast and we can talk about your NFL journey. I send you an open invite right now. Just put it out there. But yeah, like you said, we're so talented, man. I just see all this. It's just sad to me sometimes when I see these Polynesians that may have so much talent in whatever in academics, in singing, in dancing, in fine arts, in create, so even so being on social media, but then they just never take that step in, because they're just still living in the past and of what could have been. And when you see talent that's wasted, it's sad to see. It's sad to see when you see talent that's wasted, man.
There's a quote. I was gonna say there's a quote I heard once, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember word for word, but it talks about the embers of yesterday are meant to be remembered, not to be lived in.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, the embers of yesterday.
So,
all right.
Embers of yesterday.
I see you, man. I see you with the quotes, bro. I see you with the quotes. All right. I do want to kind of tackle. I know you talked about mental health. I know you talked about mental health that you went through. So I feel like mental health is a big part of what a lot of people, not only us, but a lot of people struggle with. But I also know, because I grew up Polynesian in our culture, a lot of times our elders are people that our parents don't believe in mental health because they weren't they weren't educated on it. And so they're not aware of it. And you said it in the beginning of this podcast, the first, how education is so important to our daily lives, especially for our growth in life. So it's so important to educate ourselves. And I know that can be a battle with, if anybody's watching this right now, you're going through some kind of mental health problem, depression, anxiety. And of course, if you add the fact that you can't communicate with the culture, you add that layer, it just kind of compounds it and makes it harder. You just feel so much pressure and burden that you're battling something that nobody knows about. You keep to yourself and you kind of feel like all alone. But I just want to talk about it real quick, and if you can talk about it, because I want to just let people know that it's real, and then share. I'm sure you had your experience of going through your own mental health problems, and just to what you did to overcome it. Like, yeah, if you talk about mental health real quick.
Yeah, it's funny because in our lives, when we get sick, we go to the doctor. When we pull a muscle, we go get physical therapy. But when we struggle with things in our mind, and our heart hurts and our soul aches, where do we go? Right? There's a lot of stigma to getting mental health help, to getting therapy, and it should not be that way. It needs to be the opposite way. I think within the Polynesian community, if you show any sign of struggle, you're weak. You're not manly enough. You're not going to be able to uphold the family or take care of anyone else because you're mentally weak. When in reality, there's so much we don't understand about depression and anxiety and a lot of these internal struggles. In my life, I always struggled with my body image. I've always been a big boy, you know. The Polynesian roots run deep. I got big calves and big thighs and big shoulders. And I always struggled with that. I didn't like being the big guy. And all my friends, I would see them, you know, being successful and good looking. And I'm like, well, why can't I be like them? Maybe if I was skinnier, I could be good looking like them. And so that really, really sucked. It was hard. And recently, within the last couple of years, I've been diagnosed with seasonal depression. And so that played a big part into how I feel too. And I think that for anyone else that listens to this, it's okay to have sad days. It's okay to feel bad about yourself sometimes. And the most important thing is that you do something about it, right? You find help. You go talk to a friend. You get out, you go fight Kava with the boys and talk about those things that you're struggling with, because 9 times out of 10, there's someone else in that room that has felt the same way. It's the courage is taking that first step. That's the hardest part. But once you do, and once you are able to release that negative energy that you have in you and you're able to get it off your chest, the relief that comes from it is always gonna feel better than keeping it to yourself.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Yeah, I was. Why you say? You feel like you've been doing this your whole life, man. Like I feel like I'm at like a convention right now, just listening to a great speaker.
my amateur.
No, that's absolutely true, man. Like you know, body image is something that I know a lot of Polynesians suffer with. You know, only women,
especially women, girls.
Yeah, women. You know, because for the women, you know, because you know in society, you know, it's all about being skinny and I see all these Polynesian women, you know, with insecurity issues about their body and they kind of just feeling ugly. It's sometimes I meet Polynesian girls like they're hella pretty and I'm like, I'm so ugly. Yeah. I'm like, no, whoa, like who's been telling you that?
Yourself. Yourself, you know.
I know. It's just and that's why and of course like these feelings, like you said, like we leave these feelings in, and we never talk about it, address it, and because like you know I think the great thing about you say like when you went to your mental health issues and you say your mom was a great communicator, like did you always share with your parents and with your mom, or did you keep it to yourself?
Mm-hmm. I communicated with my mom. What's funny though is a lot of times as I got older in my teenage years, I didn't really like talking to my mom about it. And so I would talk to my friends.
Yeah.
You know, we'd go to Kava and then I would tell my friends and we would talk about it and we would share similar things. And later on in life, I came back to my roots and told my mom about some of those things that I struggled with. And she was very understanding and helped me out a lot.
Yeah. Well, did she give you any advice or quote that stands out to you?
She told me once, I remember this when I was young. She says, "It doesn't matter what other people see in you. It only matters what you see in yourself."
Facts right there, bro. That's true. That's true. So, yeah, for everybody out there that's watching, just understand, like, and this is one thing I believe also, like, what makes us beautiful is what makes us different.
Yep.
Is your differences is in your uniqueness as an individual. It's what makes you beautiful. I always like use the concept of flower. If every flower looked the same, it'd be boring, honestly.
Yeah.
But if every flower looked the same, but if there was one flower that was different, that flower would actually look more beautiful than the other flower because it's a difference. It's the same thing with us. Like, if you're wishing to be that skinny model and be like everybody else, like, you don't understand that it's what always makes us different, that makes us beautiful. And at the same time, that's what's going to attract the right person to you. So, and just understand, polys, I'm saying, you can't fight genetics. Stop it. You can't fight it. Be healthy. Be healthy. Try to be healthy and makes it look good. But we're just born different. As far as our bodies. So you could just be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
All right. So, you could be like, I remember, like, right now I'm like 250, but I remember there was a time, like, I thought that I wanted to be like 205 because I felt like that's like the because I wanted to get like shredded and like
you want to look like The Rock. You want to.
I wanted to like get shredded, but then I was like, dude, I can't. 205, that's not me. That's just not my body is not built for 205. And I think I came close to like 215. I came close to 215. This is when I was like, this is after when I was done playing football. But I wasn't eating. Like, I was like starving myself to hit 215, and it was just not sustainable. And I wasn't happy. But I wasn't even happy. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna just stick to my normal body weight, which is like 250 right now. And I feel good right now at 250. I don't know why I don't even know why I did that. I was like so stupid. I mean, I'm thinking about, like, why did I put myself like through that? I guess physical abuse. I do want to talk about your. I know you mentioned you served a mission. I'm really excited to hear. Can you talk about your journey serving a mission? For all the Mormons out here watching. So I know I do, for some reason I do have a lot of Mormons watch this podcast. So but you can talk about your spiritual journey with God, how that helped you, and then going on a mission. I've never been on a mission before, but I've had some podcasts here with missionaries that did serve a mission, and they always talk about their journey with God. And if you're Polynesian, you already know that we grew up in church. We grew up in church. That's a big priority in our life. I always joke about when it comes to the hierarchy of like what's important for Polynesians in our culture. It's God, family, get married, have kids.
Food. That too.
It's like you have to hit. That's the most important thing. God, family. You better get married ASAP and have kids.
I think food comes in right somewhere in there.
somewhere in there. And if you're Mormon, you already know the struggle. People asking, "Are you married yet? You married yet? You married yet?"
Oh man.
Yeah, but talk about your spiritual journey with God, because God is a big is a priority in my life. I wouldn't be who I am today without Him, but I do understand that when it comes to life, and especially when it comes to our faith, it's not always going to be perfect. And I know as kids, I know the struggle growing up as a kid, where I feel like that if I made a mistake, if I failed spiritually, then I started to like feel bad about myself and feel like that I wasn't good enough, or God doesn't love me, because I remember my parents were hard. Well, my dad's a pastor, so I remember this is my version of how I got taught about God. I remember growing up. This is the way Tongan, we have that tough love, that hardcore love.
Yep.
So this is how my dad taught me when he came to religion. If you follow the commandments, you go to heaven. If you don't follow the commandments, you're going to hell. No excuses. Like, no excuse. Follow it. that was like what I got. He told me a different version compared to the version he told the congregation. But
He edited it a little bit.
But I remember growing up like, oh man, I gotta be perfect, I gotta be perfect, I gotta be perfect, I gotta be perfect. And then,
Yeah.
then I started living life, making mistakes, when I started smoking and drinking, and then I felt so bad. And I was so hard on myself, and, it started to get toxic. Like I started having mental health problems, feeling down about myself. But then I learned that, at the end of the day, it's a journey in life that we have to go through. We're going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to sin. We all going to make mistakes and not sin, but that's the beauty of God's love. Like he's going to welcome you and love you no matter what. And he's always going to, just like the prodigal son, he's always waiting for you to come back. And he understands that that's just, and then once I learned that later, then I realized that, that because I knew that I didn't feel that pressure no more. Then he kind of allowed me to, like, now I want to do better now. Now I want to live a more spiritual life, even though I still make mistakes here and there. I'm not perfect, but now that desire is, now I want to do it more. And it wasn't like I want to be rebellious because my parents are just like hard force that pressure on me. Because I feel like sometimes when you feel that spiritual pressure, that it kind of makes you rebellious sometimes. And sometimes. And I feel like once I learned about God's love, His salvation, and it's okay to make mistakes, that's when I learned that all the things I was doing, now I didn't want to do it no more, because I made that choice, and then I got better. So that's my little story. But I was gonna ask you, your journey with God, and of course going on the mission and what you went through, and the great experiences you went on your mission, and also like I know I've heard from missionaries missions can be tough sometimes, but they don't advertise that on the paper.
Yeah, when you sign, they don't say, oh, by the way, this is
they forget that in the fine print. But can you talk about that? Just your overall journey with God and faith, and what you went through in your mission, and how that changed you to be who you are today.
Yeah. So I grew up in the church. My parents have always been very active, the LDS faith, and so we always went to church. We grew up going to primary, singing the songs, and I didn't really discover my relationship with God until I was about 16, 17. My parents, like I said, are very open-minded, and they got to a point where they're like, we've taught you right and wrong. You know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know what's expected of you, but we're gonna let you make your own choices. We're not gonna helicopter you. And so, kind of like what you said, after feeling so much pressure and that spiritual pressure, I went off and I got in a lot of trouble. Right, I started drinking and started partying and doing all kinds of stuff I wasn't supposed to. There was one Sunday, one of my football buddies was giving his farewell talk. And in the talk, he mentioned the moment when we change the identity of God in our minds and look at him less as a punishing someone who's looking to, every time we sin, throw the lightning bolt at us.
Yeah, that's what my dad taught me.
Yeah, see, it's the wrong way. But if we change that and we picture him more as of a father who watches his child trying to learn to walk, who scrapes his knee, and he's there to pick us up and say, it's okay, you made a mistake, let's get you where you need to be. Right, is the moment we strengthen our relationship with our Heavenly Father. And that always stuck to me. It just made me realize how I've been going about it, and it'd been the wrong way of thinking who God was in my life. And so that kind of changed things around for me for the good. And after some other spiritual experiences and other things, I decided to go on a mission. And I was blessed and honored to serve in the Bay. Being able to serve with you and meet you and many of the other friends that I was able to. A mission has lots of different things to it, right?
you either have to learn a language or you learn something else. Oh, shoot. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Anyways, and so I really had to buckle down and rediscover that relationship with my Heavenly Father on the mission. I really had to have faith that he was going to help me learn Spanish and understand Tongan and a lot of other things. I'll tell you, my favorite thing about serving a mission was the people, was learning and meeting new people and hearing their stories and being able to grow and to feel the love that God had for them and that I had for them. The hardest part of the mission for me was learning to deal with rejection. And I think that that's a life lesson that everyone has to learn at some point. But the hardest part was people, bashing on things that I believed to be true and that I held sacred, and being okay with meeting people that had different opinions and different values that weren't always the same with mine, because the way God views them, he doesn't hate them. He doesn't spite them, right? He loves them as equal. And I needed to learn to love them as equal too. And so that was a big process of my mission. But overall, I'm very grateful I served. I love God. My relationship with him is pretty good. And when I talk on a daily basis, and I think that within the Tongan culture, like you said, even in the Tongan seal, right? The God of Tonga is my faith, my foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's so ingrained in our culture that it is everything we do. We talk about God. We preach God. We, even in our language, right? There's many references to deity and to God. But personally, for me, I'm very grateful for it, and it is very much who I am. I've always thought about it like this: is there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is our connection with deity, is our connection with a higher power. Religion is simply how we strengthen that connection. And for me, the Church of Jesus Christ and its teachings is what I found to work best for me and helps me become a better person, gives me guidance in life. And there might be others that don't agree with that, and that's okay, right? That is their agency. That is their right to not agree. But I just hope that people will see me as I am and not simply as a title, because I make mistakes all the time. Still, even being in the RM, people look at us, they put us on a pedestal, right? Like, hey, you have to act better now. You served a mission. But that's not always the case, right? We're still human. We're still going to make mistakes. We're going to be put in positions and places that, we might fall to temptation. And people need to stop judging us for that. It's when Jesus took in the prostitute and said, he was without sin, let him cast the first stone. It's the same situation.
Yeah. I think thank you for sharing that, by the way. That was pretty awesome. I think the one thing I took away from it, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to, is like in our culture, in the Polynesian culture, the expectation to be perfect is kind of like ingrained in us as kids. And I realized that for a lot of us, it's hard because our parents have so much expectations. We have traditions, we have, of course, you add religion to it. So there's all these layers of expectation from our families, from what being a Tongan is, and also we add religion to it. That can be a lot of pressure for somebody, especially the fact that we have to be perfect. That's something I feel like it's really, really toxic, because there's no such thing as perfectionism. It doesn't exist in this world. There's the only person that was ever perfect was Jesus.
Yeah.
And no one can ever be perfect. And the fact that we are teaching kids at a very young age to be perfect, you're setting them up for failure, I think. Because the reality is they're gonna make mistakes no matter how much you no matter how much you shelter your kids, no matter how much you yell at your kids. No matter what you do, your kids will make mistakes no matter what. And if you don't teach them to have a great relationship with failure, to know that that's part of, to associate failure with God, so we know that when we fail, God still loves us to bring us closer to God and not push us away from God, because we know there's a difference. And I feel like that's why I went through a lot of issues. I feel like a lot of kids go through issues, and and I feel like we need, as you know, as I just feel like as Polynesians we gotta, it's okay, to tell our kids, hey, if you make a mistake, explain to them, okay, it's okay, like that you said, the identity of God, instead of being that punisher. Even though our culture, we like to punish.
It's true. It's the tone, not what we're saying, right? It's what we're saying, not the tone.
Yeah,
I do this because I love you.
Yeah. So we always have this need to be perfect, but we don't never learn from our lessons. So I remember as a kid, like when I make a mistake, I didn't care about the lesson. I just cared about, okay, my parents was gonna beat me up. So
what object am I gonna smack with now?
Yeah, exactly. So I never cared about learning from it and moving on from it. I just, all right, my parents gonna smack me, they're gonna beat me up. All right, I'm just gonna take it, and then I'm gonna do the same thing another day.
Yep.
So it's just because my relationship with failure wasn't. My definition of failure was just my parents would always think, well, I would disappoint my parents. So, so I feel like a lot of people, they definitely need to hear that. For everybody that's listening, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's okay. Like, that saying, it's okay not to be okay. It is absolutely okay not to be okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. But just get up and learn from it and move on. Life, they still have a life ahead of you, but don't live within your mistakes. I don't think that's healthy. Try to, if you never learn from mistakes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you. You did mention. You did mention. So you went on your mission. You served your mission, and then how was it? I'm always interested. How was it when you came back? I'm always interested in hearing that. I know everybody's different. I always have a lot of Mormon friends that talk about it, and I know there's a lot of missionaries or future missionaries that may be watching this. So how was it coming back from your mission? Trying to adjust to new life. Also, want to ask you, how did, I know there's this like I guess expectation from missionaries to be married as soon as they come back. I don't know if you felt that. But I see that a lot, that a lot of my missionary friends come back, they're like, this is like, oh my God, I have to get married. And then that could be a different struggle to figure that out. But yeah, just can you talk about the whole coming back as a return missionary and just adjusting back to real life again and finding that. Yeah.
So honestly, for me, coming home, it wasn't that big of a transition. For me and my mission, I never changed to who I was and my personality to try and conform. Everything that I was and everything I did and everyone I talked to, they got the same Mason that I was back home than Elder Fiefia. I think that the issue is that a lot of people that go on missions feel like they have to change their personality, have to change who they are to fit in and to embody, this missionary stereotype. When in reality, the gospel is who you are. You bring who you are and everything you have, your humor, your sadness, everything that embodies who you are, and then you share that with other people. And so for me, I took that and I embodied that on my mission. Everything I presented to people and every time I spoke was me. It was not missionary Mason. It was me. It was Mason. And so transitioning back to normal life wasn't that hard. It was easy for me. And the first year though was a struggle because, like I said earlier, I had planned my whole life on going to play college ball and living the athlete life. And so coming home and having to refigure that out was a struggle. And then, I started dating again and all that stuff. But honestly, the best advice I can give for somebody who has come home and maybe they've fallen away a little bit, or they're trying to figure out their faith, is to go back to the roots, right? It's everything we've taught. It's the principles of the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? It's faith, repentance, baptism, right? Receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost and enduring to the end. Is we have to go back to our roots again. We gotta redefine what faith is. We gotta begin praying. We gotta do the little things, because when we do little things add up to bigger things. And I came home and I kind of got a little wild again after a while. I made mistakes like everyone does, but that never shook my testimony and the things that I knew were true and I still know are true. And as we root our testimony and the things we believe in, the rock was Jesus Christ and his sacrifice, the atonement, and as we do our best each and every day, that relationship that we gained on our mission with God will continue to flourish and continue to grow. And so I'm really grateful for that, and coming home. And the funny thing with marriage, so I remember I told myself, I said, I'm not going to get married within a year. I'm going to come home and I'm going to live a year. I'm not going to get married. If I date someone, it's going to be a year before I'm even thinking about marriage. And I've been home almost 2 years now, so I've kept to that plus. But there is a big pressure to get married. I remember my mission president told me before I left. He's like, Elder Fiefia, you know the next step is, right? And I said, yes, President. And he's like, okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right. But to me, I don't feel like pressure to get married. I feel like I want to live my life, and I have lots of experiences to have and ventures to go on before I'll get married. So I'm doing good. I'm just big pimping over here. So
Yeah, man. Thank you, and thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And for all the single girls out there watching this, and my man out there in Utah.
The DMs are open, okay? Gotta do a family search real quick. Make sure we're not related.
My man right here. No, I do want to talk. I think you said something like, you didn't change who you are on your mission.
Yeah.
Did you ever, did you ever feel like that a lot of people on the mission was there, but that wasn't really who they were? Like they were there because people wanted them there, but it's like because I did talk to a lot of missionaries, like in their experience, how there was a lot of people just they were there because like the expectations or the family put a lot of pressure on them. Like, did you see that a lot? Like people are just there, but they're there, but they're not, they're not mentally there. Their mind is still somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There was a lot of people like that. And even, I'll be honest, there was some days where I was like that too,
Yeah.
You miss home. You miss the normal life. But I know there are kids that go on missions, and there were people in my mission too that were a lot like that. They were there because their families expected them to be, right? There was a societal pressure within the LDS community to go on a mission, or their dad promised them a car if they went on a mission, whatever the case may be. There were people that were there, but they weren't there.
Yeah.
And so it's a hard thing, and there's such a stigma for people that don't go on missions.
Yeah.
Why are you not worthy? Are you you don't have a testimony? And there's so many things that go into going on a mission and not going on a mission. I know plenty of kids that went on missions and now they hate the church, they hate God, they do all kinds of things. And I know kids that didn't go on missions and are some of the most spiritually strong people I've ever met. Going on a mission doesn't make you perfect. What you did on your mission doesn't make you perfect. It's what you learned from your mission that helps you in your eternal progression.
Man, that was fire, man. That was on fire right there. I love what you said. Going on a mission does not make you perfect. I think everybody that's watching this, that's actually a fact, and I've seen it too, and I've seen it within my own friends. The stigma and the pressure to go on mission, and if you don't go on a mission, everybody just gives up on it. You have no future.
Yep.
And especially in the YSA, like everybody's just like, oh, like they kind of like discourage kids to be a partner because you didn't go on a mission, or because they see you as like this bad person for some reason.
The rebel.
Yeah.
The outcast.
The bad. He's not a bad guy, but then the missionary, the return missionary, they're like, oh yeah, that's they put so much light and pedestal on you guys. Yeah, that's the guys, and I see it happen in the YSA. So yeah, I think that's important because like I mentioned before, and God has a plan for everybody, and everybody's plan is different. And I feel like that's something we just definitely want to encourage out there. It's just sad to see, your fellow Mormons, your fellow LDS members, suffer. And I do want to talk about. I know we brought it up in the beginning of the podcast, like the judgment within the church. And if you're Mormon, you already know, there's going to be a lot of judgment and criticism and pressure that you feel within your own LDS family. So, because I just as much as we're both Mormons, but I feel like, man, if we could just create a culture of more understanding and acceptance. Because I remember I had when I was still going to my home ward. I know that was a long time ago. If you're my home ward right now, you're like, yeah, this is a long time ago. But I remember we had like a discussion after with the elders quorum right after the service, and they were talking about the main topic we discussed. We were trying to figure out a solution, but why do a lot of the youth, the number of youth within the church leaving the church is starting to rise at a very exponential rate. Like, every year they're just losing the youth, and then the elders were asking that question to everybody. I was probably like the youngest person in that group. And then everybody was talking about there's this solution. We should have more events, more functions, and more dances. That's gonna get the youth to come and stay. And then they asked me. I was like, all right, do you really want to know my opinion? They're like, yeah. I was like, I think we should can we create a culture of more understanding and talk to these kids and figure out open communication and understand, accept them, and talk about failure, talk about life, talk about love. So I was like, because I'm telling you, it's not the events, it's not the dances. This is why. That's not the reason why they're all, avoiding
leaving.
church. Yeah. No, it's just I because if you don't feel appreciated and accepted as an individual, doesn't matter what organization aspect, whether it's a church or the family or the job, if you don't feel appreciated and loved and accepted, you don't want to be there. And I just talked about that. I was can we if you guys could find a way to connect with them, check up on them. I mean, I don't know that I don't know how to do it, but I'm just throwing you my opinion. And I remember they looked at me and then they just went on, okay, next person. But I feel like that there's so much judgment and criticism and pressure that falls upon not only the youth, but also the adults too. I've seen adults go through it all the time, and there can be a lot of drama. A lot of drama going on with the drama. But I think that's the thing. I wish we could just create more culture, more emphasis on acceptance and forgiving, and it's okay to make mistakes, to allow people to make mistakes and not feel like they're not worthy enough to be of the church, or like, I don't know if you experience this. When people don't show up to church for a long time, like inactive, and then finally they do show up, like instead of like just like targeting them, hey man, you've been here, you haven't been here for a long time, like now you're kind of like low key attacking them for not coming.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I'm not gonna come no more. Instead of telling them they're not here, they haven't come, I feel like we just go up to, hey, thank you for coming, thank you for being here, much love too.
It's so good to see you. Like,
good to see, yeah, so good to see you. How's life? How's everything? Hey, do you need anything from me, man? It's so good to see you. Much if we responded that way, but with love and appreciation instead of judgment and criticizing people. Oh, we haven't seen you in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you, what are your thoughts about that? The judgment that goes a lot that happens within the LDS church, yeah. Community.
I think that a lot of it comes as humans, we fear what we don't know, and we fear new things. And there's this culture, church culture and church doctrine are two different things, right? Church doctrine is what we do our best to preach, and we do our best to practice. Church culture evolves around a lot of different influences, whether it's the day and age, it's what we grew up learning from our parents or what our friends talk about. And it's funny because I have a tatao, I have my Polynesian sleeve, and I love it when I get up there and I'll go past the sacrament or show up in church and I get all these dirty looks. Yeah. I have a tattoo and they're like, oh, that's terrible, like he must be a thug or a terrible person. And then I'll speak to them, I'll get to know them. They're like, wow, I had a different view on you. And I tell them, I says, well, that's something you need to fix, because that's not how. And I think that it's like you said, you hit it on the nail. We need to create a culture of love and acceptance, and regardless if someone's different or they smell like cigarettes or they drink, right? We need to love them like Christ would, and take them in. And when they're ready to change and they want to change their lives around, we're right there to love them. And if they don't, that's okay. We still love them and we still want them there. And that begins, I don't know how to change it on a global, but, if you can do that yourself and you become the influence, that is the greatest thing you can do. You are doing your part. And I think that's the only way things will change, really.
I know. It's yes. That's something for me. Yeah, that's something I always want to encourage, and also like for me, like I do believe in the sacrament. When we take the sacrament, it's our way to forgive allow Heavenly Father to forgive us, save ourselves. And it's sad for me, like I always tell kids, look, it's sad to me that when I see kids purposely not take it because they just don't feel like they're worthy enough. And I was like encourage the younger generation, hey, look, man, whatever you do in your life, look, God's still gonna accept you, so just take it, So just don't be afraid to receive the sacrament because you don't feel like other people are judging you. Oh, I just saw you at the club yesterday. Why are you here? So much love to all my LDS members out there that are watching. And like you said, this is, I don't want people to misconstrue what we're talking about, that we're trying to attack the church. No, we're not talking about the church. We're just the culture.
No, not at all.
The culture.
Church culture. Yeah.
Church culture. Just want to put it out there just to make sure we clarify what we talk. But yeah, and like you said, if you're Mormon, you already know what we're talking about. I do want to talk about. I know you mentioned, people were bashing you because you had a different opinion. Because you see things differently for yourself. Yeah, can you talk about that? Because I feel like that can be tough because I do see a lot of Polynesians that have their own opinions and how they see things or they experience in their life. I want to ask you: do you follow social media? What's going on with I don't know if you follow. I know. We mentioned before. I have one of my good friends that did the podcast with me, Nini. I don't know if you remember her.
Yeah, Nini.
I don't know if you see. I don't know if you've seen lately, but she's trending right now.
Yeah,
she's been trending. It's been trending right now. And I remember the last 24 hours, my phone been blowing up like comments on TikTok. I posted one of her videos on TikTok, and then everybody just like destroying her, like attacking her.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm gonna make a response video tomorrow. So I haven't got a chance to make a response video, but tomorrow I'm gonna respond back to all of it. But what I do want to just emphasize that to everybody that's watching this, that everybody has a different experience when it comes to their life. And I know the main thing I see in the comments was like was with all the hardcore talkers about culture. Oh my God, like she doesn't know the culture, this and this and this and this and this. Yeah. And I always tell people, like, everybody experiences the culture in a different way, and everybody has an opinion, which everybody's entitled to. We are all entitled to opinion, and it's if you have a different opinion, it's okay to have a different opinion of everybody. But I feel like sometimes within our culture that that's why I believe in open communication, healthy communication, like you said with your mom, where if somebody disagrees with you, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. I feel like part of healthy discussion and communication is I can listen to you to understand instead of listening to you to like reply and feel threatened by what you say. Because I feel like that's part of growth and part of maturity is if you have a conversation with somebody knowing they disagree with you, but you're willing to open and listen. Right.
Yeah.
And never feeling like you're threatened by their opinion, never feeling like you have to belittle them, you have to scrutinize, you have to put them down just because. And I feel like that's the culture nowadays. It's cancel culture, right? If somebody's just stiff, if you go against the majority, people will cancel you. And I feel like that's really, really big within the Polynesian community, that we just cancel and bring people to town immediately as soon as they speak up and voice their opinion, which they are entitled to. So I want to ask you about that. Your thoughts on that? I know it's a hot topic. I know it's a hot topic, but I just thought of it right now, and it's something that's been going on. And you did mention it, that you were getting bashed because you had a different opinion of how you see things, and that's something I want to talk about a little bit more so people can understand that it's okay if somebody has a different opinion or a different experience than you, but we shouldn't bash each other because somebody else has a different story or different opinion.
Yeah. It's a sign of someone's emotional maturity when you can have a civil conversation on topics you don't agree with, or you're not on the same page with, but still maintain composure and look at it with a lens of understanding
and respect as well. Respect too.
And respect. Yeah, big time is respect. Is I value what you have to say. I may not agree with it.
Yeah.
But I respect that you have that opinion. And I think that cancel culture is a stem of people's either something they're insecure about, something they haven't processed, right? Or something they don't understand. And even though it may be contrary to what they believe, right? If it's ideas or ideology, everyone has the right to believe what they want. It's not okay to cancel somebody simply because you don't agree. For example, I have a lot of friends that hate that I fight Kava, right? Do I cancel them out of my life and say, well, you don't agree to this, so we're not friends anymore? Of course not. That is their right, and it is my right to do what I feel I want to do within legal bounds. But there's a quote by Thomas Jefferson, and I'm not gonna I'll murder it. Basically, what he says is that he mentions he would never allow a difference in religion, political beliefs, ethnicity, or origin to interfere with a friendship. And I have always valued that, and I've always felt that is the best way to go about things. and especially in heated conversations and sensitive topics, is do not allow a difference in opinion to dictate where the friendship goes or whether it ends. It's simply a different point of view.
Yeah. Have you has ever, besides like the Kava one, has ever been any other experience that you disagreed with other people, or did you just speak up about something within that's going on, and then you were seeing everybody try to cancel you? Have you gone through that or not really?
There has been times. One person, I was at a bar with a friend. I was being the designated driver, and someone asked me why I didn't drink, and so I told them why I don't drink. It's against what I believe. It's not something I do, and so they asked if I was LDS. I said yes, and so they went on this big rant about how, oh, the church is terrible and all this, that, and the other, and so I kind of had to look at them, and I asked them a few questions about their home life and their experience. And I said, I value, I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry you feel that way. But I would rather have you get to know me first before you judge me based on my title or what I believe. And so for a long time, we had an hour conversation sitting there at the bar. And at the end of it, we walked away. We were good friends at the end, because we were able to see eye to eye and understand that even though we difference in things that we believed and valued, at the end of the day, we're both human and we both have different experiences and different feelings. And that all roots back to the communication we talked about earlier, and being able to be respectful and with an open mind. Closed-mindedness is what is the root of a lot of issues we have today.
Thank you, man. And that's the thing. Like, I just want to encourage so much love and support, but it just saddens me, like, the lack of healthy communication and understanding within the Polynesian community. And I see some of the comments that people write. Man, they just go, and some of them is really like really aggressive and violent sometimes. And then it just shows me like, oh my God, this is why I'm trying to do and promote positive growth, because I feel like you say it's part of maturing as an individual, that you can sit with somebody else that has a different view opinion than you, but at the same time still be respectful. I was just laughing because I remember this guy wrote that fuck up apa, the culture of apa, but at the same time he's like providing the message to beat people up, beat her up. I'm like, you talk about the value of about respecting our culture, but then you also say condoning, like saying that everybody beat this person up because she doesn't agree. You don't agree with her point of view. We just, I don't know, so hypocritical. But nevertheless, I love much love for you guys, all the Polynesian family out there. But I feel like but that's something we definitely need to work on, and I want to encourage. We have to encourage people to speak up, to be themselves, and just create a culture of understanding. Because I feel like if we eliminate people's ability to communicate and not create a safe platform for them to be able to be themselves and voice their concerns, then that's going to cause a lot more problems. Because most of the problems that we deal with in the Polynesian culture is because we don't talk about it. All these taboo topics that we talked about it. Some of them, like mental health, that's a taboo topic. Suicide, rape, like sexual abuse, all these things that happens. Just because it doesn't happen to you in your world does not make that invalid. It's not happening exactly. Just because it doesn't happen in your life doesn't mean happening in the culture. Because that's one thing I get people say, oh, that's not part of the culture. Well, it didn't happen to you. So, but anyways, that's a whole nother debate. But I just wanted to bring it up, into your thoughts. But you said it best. Like, we have to mature as individuals. I guess the last thing I just want to ask you real quick. I'm always interested in how you deal with people, how people deal with adversity. Because I feel like a lot of people, that's one of the things that we struggle with is like, is when life just gets hard and tough. So that's why I love doing podcasts with people like you and all my guests, to just give people a different perspective, show a different light, and just show them that all the things that we go through in life, we can. There's always a way to overcome it, but we just gotta have faith to get back up. But I want to ask you, to you, what was like the hardest thing in your life? If you don't mind sharing, that the hardest thing that, I guess the hardest, the lowest moment of your life that you went through, but then you were able to find a way to persevere, overcome it, and maybe if you can share that with everyone.
Yeah. So with my struggles with seasonal depression and anxiety, it creates a lot of negative thoughts that I have to fight, and a lot of mental exertion. And there was one point where I was super suicidal as a result of it. And I remember feeling like, no one likes me. It's over. My life has no purpose anymore. And I remember sitting there thinking about it, and then realizing, looking back to my life, if I were to die today, what change have I done in people's lives? What difference have I made in someone else's life? And I thought back, and I remember a lot of these things that I had done for people, and things they had told me, hey, you don't understand what that means to me. And realizing that as a result of the decisions I've made in my life have impacted many, many others. And so if I were to die today, how many lives would be impacted that I wouldn't be able to change anymore? How many lives would I not be able to touch as a result of the experiences that I've had and the words that I have to share? And so after thinking about that, I made a decision. I will never, ever get to this point again, because my life has meaning and my life has impact. And if I were to die, if I were to take my own life, I would ruin the chances for others to change and to grow and to become the people they need to be. And I've had to use my family as a crutch sometimes, and I've had to lean on my friends, and most importantly, I've leaned on God quite a bit to get through these challenges and the challenges of life. And I think that as we put our faith in God, God will always place people in our lives that we need. They may not stay forever, they may be for a short time, but we have a lesson to learn from each and every person in our life and each and every struggle that we go through. And so as we change our mentality to why is this happening to me? And we change it to, what do I have to learn from this? What is the value in this lesson, this struggle? We are able to shape our lives and understand that adversity is a part of the plan. Muscles cannot grow without straining them first. We all go through growing pains, and those are the moments when we grow the most.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that, bro. Thank you for sharing that. If everybody that's watching, I just wanted to have him speak about that, because, I know, even though we all go through our struggles, but I know that there's a lot of people out there, as bad as I think in my own life, the things I went through, but I know it's not even, it's not even compared to what most people go through. And, and there's a lot more people going out there that has it worse than me. And and I always think about that always in my life. And that's why I have so much empathy for people. And also just understand that everybody's going through something. Everybody's struggling through something. And sometimes when we meet people, we automatically have the reaction, if we meet somebody that may upset you, to automatically just judge them and criticize them. But just understand that sometimes you just catch people on a wrong day. And I just want more love and more support, more understanding. But there's something I kind of learned myself, that everybody's going through something. So when I meet somebody, whether they treat me good or not, whether they mean to me or nice to me, I always treat them with respect and love, because it's not a reflection of who they are; it's a reflection of who I am. Because that's who I am. So, and a lot of times, the people that I treat with love and respect, it's funny, like we become friends, or they reach out to me.
Yeah.
and I'm like, hey, you're the one who was with me. But it just shows you that a lot of people are struggling, and we need to create an environment. So, which inspires me to do what I do. But yeah, just thank you for sharing that. We have to overcome all the we do have the power to overcome all the adversities we go through in life. Yep. So I guess we come to the end of the podcast. Man, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy man out there in Utah, with the Kava and everything out there.
Always hustling.
But you said, thank you for sharing your life story and being open, and I always give you props, bro, because I always tell people, anybody that's willing to share their life story, people don't realize like how much courage that takes for somebody to open up. That's one of the hardest things to do, but it just shows you it just shows me your level of progression in your life, of how far you've come in your life. So I respect that about you. Keep doing your thing, and much love to you, man, my man. I guess one thing I ask every guest at the end of the show to end off the podcast. Can you just share some final thoughts, some final words of wisdom, some final inspiration to everybody after everything you've gone through in your life, after everything we talked about? Just share some final thoughts and inspiration to everybody. And if you want, we'll end off the podcast with that.
Yeah. I've shared a lot of things today and a lot of my life lessons, but the greatest lesson that I've learned is that God loves us, and He's willing to do whatever we need. We simply have to ask, and we have to get on our feet and be on the move. God can only help us if we're trying our best to help ourselves, and then He fills in the gap for us. I think too is to treat everyone, like you said, with respect and love, because we never truly know what someone is going through. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone's in a different page in the book of life and in their personal book of life. And so when you feel inferior, or you feel like you're late to getting married or to dating or to a job promotion, you are neither late nor ahead of yourself. You're right on time. Your progression is based on you and your decisions you make each and every day. And so do your best to make the best decisions. And if you don't be hard on yourself. Be okay with making mistakes. The final piece of advice I would give anybody is, if we fall in love with failure, we will never be scared. We cannot be afraid of failure, because we will fail more than we will succeed. But in the moments when we do succeed, they will be great. And so I think that's all I got today. I just want to say thank you, Will, for letting me come on and tell my story and joke around. It's good to catch up with you. It's been a long time. I need to come out to LA and come visit.
Of course, my man. Man, that was you got that vela, bro. You got that fire, bro. You got that vela, man. I know everybody's watching right now. I know y'all can feel that vela, man. I know you feel that fire, the spirit. But thank you so much for, hey, like I said, whenever you're LA, hit me up. Of course, if I ever come to Utah, I'm definitely gonna come by. Take a visit to Kavaholics.
Get a few cups.
But thank you so much for taking the time and being on this podcast. We had a great podcast and fun for everybody. And for everybody out there, much love to you. And peace. I'm gonna press the stop button and I'm gonna talk to you right after. Okay.
Yeah, malo.
Give me 1 second.